Fly Tying 101. We have 5 more patterns for you guys. And let's see. Trying to get this computer rolling. So last week there was a glitch and there was some shenanigans, and it kind of was a bummer. So I figured out, we talked to the fine folks over here at Livestream, and unfortunately I have to hit refresh constantly for comments. So there is going to be comments. I will try to get to them, I'm hoping. I haven't seen any comments yet, but it is what it is. They're working on it. Apparently there's some magic, computer coding stuff that has to take place behind the scenes, which is beyond my wheelhouse. So bear with me. There might be a few times where you hear clicky clicky. Curtis, how's it going? I got a comment. It's working. Beautiful. So yeah, tonight we're going to be tying, like I said, 5 more flies. And I'll just keep clicking refresh and we'll go from there. Fly Fiend, what's up, brother? Welcome. Hello. So yeah, so as the continued part of our Fly Tying 101, we're going to show you guys some more nymphs, and I'll highlight, well, nymphs, woolly worms, soft hackles. So tonight we're going to be doing our old friend, the Hares here. He's a wee feller, but he's there nonetheless. We're going to do a Griffith's Gnat, size 18. And what else we got going up? That's another Hare's ear. I had to practice my Hare's ear. It's been a couple days. Carl, hello. Scott, hello, and welcome. So this is my favorite fly of the night. No joke. Soft hackle. This is a yellow and partridge. Super good. Great for PMDs, hatches, stuff like that. The woolly worm, I don't quite know all the history on this guy, but he's got an orange booty, so that's rad. So it's kind of like a woolly bugger with a different backside. Whoa! David, you have been tested. Lonnie, hello. John, hello. Luis, hello. Rick, sun up, yes, hello. Claire, hello, welcome. David, you've been tested twice. It's alright though, it's great. Glad you guys are all here, I appreciate it. And last but not least, we have the bunny leech. And a lot of people don't think that a bunny leech is an intro pattern. It's easier than half the other flies out there. And it's great. So this can take you from Stillwater to, pretty much anything. Steelhead. And we might spice it up a little bit tonight. I don't know. I feel like we need to make it an egg-sucking leech to be super fun. But yeah, we'll go through that. But we're going to start at the smaller end tonight. So, let's see. All right, David. Mr. Evers, you know it. We do love the soft hackle. Welcome, sir. Carl, welcome. And David, I'm glad you can hear me. I do have music in the background. It's kind of, 2 years without music in the background, and I just was like, I need jams. Like, this is important. So tonight it's not reggae. We did reggae a few nights, but it's kind of some banjo twang. Tonight it's going to be all trampled by turtles, which is cool. So, don't worry, it's not beer because I don't drink. Jordan, hello. Gary, welcome. Bunny is a great fly for lakes. Edward, welcome. Cheech is probably exercising his sweet little money makers for his live stream of, I think he's tying the El Scolpito tonight. So anything to weave. Alrighty. Did comment auto-populate there? If a comment auto-populated, that'd be super. Anyways, so I think I'm going to start out at the small end with the Griffith's Gnat tonight, and we'll work our way up to the bunny sculpin. Okay, Jordan, gotcha. Dennis, hello, welcome. Andrew, I'm glad they're very helpful. You know, Paul, I'm not in charge of the winners. They don't let me touch that stuff. Actually, Brett's been handling it, one of the other guys here, and I don't know the winner yet. I think he's going to announce it soon. Let me ask him. It'd be actually great to post it on here. Why didn't we do that? Paul, you are smart. I like it. These are good thinking things. So I'm going to refresh again, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to get a size 18 dry fly hook in the vise, because the Griffith's Gnat is a tiny, wee little pattern. Hey, Carl. Luis is alright with the banjo twang. Good. Eugene, hey, how's it going? So I'm going to put this tiny little guy in the vise, but we did get a good question. Where do I go from here? This is technical. Last week, somebody asked me, sent in an email, said, what's my favorite way to load a bobbin? So here we go. I get my thread nice and smooth, and I put it in the bottom. I inhale, and the bobbin is now ready to tie with. So great question, especially this being a 101 class. You know, you can totally struggle with simple things on occasion, and you know, there's tools and all sorts of stuff, but the mouth trick seems to reign supreme for me. It's all I got for you on that one. Jason, what's up, man? Right arm. Okay, I'm gonna drop. Look at this. Look at this panning. Oh my goodness. My studio crew is doing an amazing job here tonight. There is no studio crew. It is me. Let's see here. Get it to focus in there. Let's see here. Try to, like, logos. There we go. Logos are the enemy. Right on, David. Let's see here. Once I get my hand in there, I think we'll focus in nicely, start doing some work. So the Griffith's Gnat is a great little dry fly pattern for midges and stuffs. So we're going to use an 8/0 Vivas thread in black, and we're going to do connecting turns pretty deep into the base of the fly. And remember, I keep this little tag right here that I'm wiggling. It's a cheater. Cheats. Makes all of your wraps wind up and, you know, look really sharp. If I don't spill my iced tea on the keyboard, that is going to be a good night. Hello, Mr. Cheech. Welcome and hello. Tim, welcome. Carl, nice to meet you as well. I'm glad that you have made it here. So we're just going to use this little, this hen neck grizzly. I already have one pulled off, and we're tying out of Hareline's top 20 patterns for the beginner. Tracy Peterson's hands are in here. His sweet little money makers. So, without further ado, Cheech, I have to refresh, just so you know. So if you're heckling really good, it might take me a few seconds. That is, let's see. Andrew, great question. So last week we were tying on I'll show you, a very basic stationary vise. And now, mind you, I tied on a stationary vise with the dual tensioning system for a number of years. And it's great. The vise I'm using tonight is a rotary vise. Has a different jaw system, and this is actually a regal vise. And really it comes down to what you're comfortable with spending. Now, if you want to get into this on the cheaper side of things, and mind you, it's not something, it can save you money, but it's not a money saving tactic. If you look at my house or Cheech's office or my office or anybody, you kind of get into this stuff. It's super fun man crafting. I like a rotary vise. If you can afford to buy a rotary vise, there's a number of great options out there. I run the Regal, never have to do an adjustment. I just squeeze and go. Tracy is a boss. So for my tying and the volume of tying and what I do, I really do prefer a rotary vise. That said, there are tons of vices out there in every price range. A lot of guys will tell you, you have to spend X amount of money to be stoked, and you just gotta get the best one you can. It's kind of like a fly reel and a fly rod. Well, more like a fly rod, but you get the best you can afford, and you'll get you'll get something you can have forever. So I'm going to tie in a peacock herl. I really hope that Tracy's out there watching somehow, and he's just blushing right now. So what I'm going to use is I'm just going to use this simple Hackle plier, and all we do with that is it holds in. If you need a vise, contact Cheech. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. More beard, please. I don't have a beard. I'm not very bearded. I try. Edward, you're very true. Cheech does do a ton of... Well, Cheech and Curtis do a ton of great reviews on their site about vices. Shrink this up a hair. So I'm going to go ahead and palmer or wrap this single peacock herl forward. And I'll make a big disclaimer here. I don't tie a lot of dries. So I'm not the... If you guys follow me on social media or Instagram, you'll know that I tie lots of steelhead flies typically, but that's alright. Should just keep that right there. I'm trying to... So I'm going to put a few securing wraps in there. Because this has a little bit of a downturn eye, I will throw a half hitch. Just in case I knock all of my thread off of there, we don't have like an explosion of peacock herl. John, you are absolutely right. John says tying is addictive, and that's totally true. You have the best beard around. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate that once more. There we go. Perfect. So you got to watch out for the barb. And then what we'll do is we'll wrap this guy forward. This hackle's still a little wee bit long for this wee little Griffith Gnat, but that's okay. 'Tis the shortest one I had. So what we'll do is I'm going to hold my tension here, and we'll just come up and capture that grizzly hackle. Now here's the tricky part, is that you don't cut your thread with these really small flies. So next up, I am going to do my hand whip finish, because that's my modus operandi for this. And refresh. But yeah, you can see it's a pretty fully bodied Griffith's Gnat there. It's actually little long, but we'll make it work for this evening. I'm just going to put a little bit of water-based head cement on there. Does the trick. Let's see. Whoa. Tying is addictive. Got there. Okay. Tons of videos. Nice, Carl. Very nice. Always good to get into stuff. You ever try throwing some UV under the hackle for increased durability? Absolutely. Yeah. There's on a lot of my steelhead flies, I will coat it with like a thick UV and then palmer hackles through it, and it basically is like how I like to call it. It's like making fiberglass. So next up, I am going to do the yellow and partridge. So this is a great fly, because we're going to use yellow thread tonight, but you could use red, you can use brown, and you can use black. The fly doesn't actually change. You know, the pattern stays the same. Everything stays the same on the pattern, with the exception of the color of the thread. So I do purple, blue, red, orange, brown. I mean, you name it. It's pretty much sure thing. You'll catch fish on it. Did you ever tie this pattern with tinsel for the body? Yeah, I've seen that done. I've never personally tried that. But it would definitely work. I could see that working out really well. Give it a really different look. Yes, Edward, I would have liked those to lay backwards, but I tied it in wrong. Good catch. I screwed up. Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate it. Honestly, though, I think with a Griffith Gnat, it's kind of sky's the limit. It's really not a directional pattern, and it looks the same front to back to me. But some other people may have a much different opinion. So, anyways, moving forward, we're going to use a A. Vivus. And this yellow is not this yellow in real life. It appears very bright yellow. This actually has quite a bit, it's a much more pale color to me. And so what we're going to do is do connecting turns all the way down the fly body. We'll keep our tag out as a cheater. And when we get to the back, I don't stop. I rewrap, connecting back forward. Reason being, it's a smooth motion and it'll speed up your tying. You know, rather than stopping, coming back here, giving a cut, and then moving forward. So it's kind of just a hack. It's a quick tip to speed up tying these thread bodies. So we're going to be using a hair mask, and this will get a lot of play later as well. But we're just going to form a little dubbing bump out of this. This one, I'm sorry, this is a size 14 wet/nymph hook. You know, if you're not using, these come in the kit. You know, if one of my favorite all-time hooks for soft hackles is this guy, which is a Daiichi 1760. It's 2x heavy wire nymph hook. Seems to not bend out. I've caught fairly large steelhead on that guy as well. So I'll put this up here so you guys can see kind of what I'm doing. I'm just going to go in here and get a couple snips, and this will come in handy later on. Now mind you, these two snips, when we start to separate this, especially with the hare's ear, like we saw last week with that caddis pattern, this turns into a lot of dubbing, like mucho. And I left the guard hairs in here. I didn't want them, I didn't want to lose that excessive bugginess. So I just have a smidgen. This is a smidgen. It's an actual unit of measurement, smidgen. And we're going to create a small dubbing bump. Yes, I do have sausage fingers. I have to special order my gloves for yard work because local home improvement stores do not stock ones that actually fit me. Oddly enough, neither did fire departments when I was on there. They always had like XLs, and they felt like a fat man in a little suit, little Chris Farley stuff going on. So what we do is we just create this little tiny dubbing bump here, and it was just that smidgen, and Bucky equals good, a little snipple too. And we're going to use Hungarian Partridge feather. Now they do come bagged like this, which is what we're going to use tonight. And oh, apparently the winner has been emailed. So I was checking for you guys. I like the idea of announcing it on here. I think that's moss fun. And or you can get them on a whole skin. I don't have a whole skin here with me tonight, which is odd because it's pretty much like black ice dub. I carry it everywhere. So when you're digging through the bag, you're going to want to find some pretty decent symmetry, and then you're left with like all this fluff down here. Oh, all right. Cool. So actually the winner from last week, his name is Brad Wallace. Brad, if you're out there, congratulations. That was actually pretty fun. We just announced the winner. Everybody else is like, oh, I'm out of here. This is horrible. I haven't decided on the secret keyword yet. So, all right. Whoa, whoa. Let's see. Oh, we're voting on the Mother Goose. Alright, so what we're going to do is, so once again, Brad Wallace is our winner from week 1. So when you guys are doing this, make sure you go to the website and fill out the little secret login thing for the chance to win with the secret code. I haven't decided on the secret word yet tonight, though. So, all right. So this is a another Hackle plier. It's kind of like this guy, but it's my favorite. And all we're going to do is, what bobbin is that? That is the Loon bobbin. Sausage. Dennis is checking his email. Don't do that, Dennis. So all we're going to do is just wrap this partridge forward. Just a few turns will get you done. And you can look at it as you're doing it. You're like, yeah, that's super buggy. I'm going to leave it right there. I think the sparseness is super important here. So you can see there's not a lot to this pattern. John, this is the Loon bobbin. It's made from space age technology. I'm refreshing to keep up with your guys' commentary here. I should totally, let's see. I just need somebody to sit here and refresh for me. It'd be hot. How many times can you enter? Just once. The tension is adjustable by, manipulating these guys. So if you want more tension, you can bend her in. I run my bobbins really loose because I have a hand, and that's how I tension everything. So I'll stretch it back out to really loose now. But I'm apparently a weird human that likes loose bobbins. Alrighty. So, yep, so don't forget, go to the Loon website on the Fly Tying 101 page to enter. And if you work at a shop, you're not allowed to enter. So Cheech, your 38 emails that you've been using are not allowed. Let's see here. Got a little excessive with the glue there. Curtis, you've seen the power of the soft hackle. I know this. I love soft hackles. It's like it's my jam. So I'll fish this fly probably over most everything. You can go through here and find weird pieces of partridge to do, but all in all, they just eat this thing. Cool hack and trick is if you push this forward, it becomes a tenkara fly, and that's how Cheech fishes them. Actually, I'm joking, but to increase durability, you can actually hit your thread wraps with glue as well, and that will also glue down, and the fly will become significantly more bomb proof. So it's just a nice light suggestive pattern. Best oh, Cheech, love it. It's when I refreshed and saw that was hilarious. The best way to rig soft hackles, so the way I fish mine is like I'll have a point fly, which is like, if we have like the dropper rig coming down, your first fly comes off, and then I'll put the soft tackle kind of on the bottom as of like a 2 or 3 fly rig, and let it just kind of float through the current back there. And it's very seductive, and you know, I just use a Palomar knot. It seems to be really great with fluorocarbon. Animated knots is a great place to learn that knot if you're not familiar with it. Carl, silk didn't come in my tying kit. And I'm on a limited budget here. My wife has me on lockdown. So we're just going to use good old-fashioned threads. Alright, so where are we at here? We're jumping into the old familiar standby here. Just a hare's ear. And there's a few flies, soft hackles, hare's ears, and as many colors as you can tie them. I don't care if you fish a purple hare's ear, it works. Heck, I've even tied blue hare's ears. If you go to new water, this is one of the top flies. Soft hackles, hare's ears, PT, you know, something flashy like a copper john, and maybe a bird's nest. And I mean, I feel confident pretty much anywhere out in the west. So we're going to do a more visible size 12 hare's ear tonight. And we're going to use a little bit different pieces of the rabbit mask as well. Cool thing is you can put beads on these. You could put hot orange bead on the front of it, change the pattern, manipulate it, and really make it kind of cool. So, you know, if you wanted to put a jawbreaker color or a, you know, that blood red or a flat black on the front of this pattern, you can really thanks, Joel. I'd have to learn how to tie the bow tie, but I think it would be great. I agree. So you can really kind of make this real basic pattern into, like, you know, a hot bead or something like that. Or you can even use, you know, really cool looking fancy beads as well, and again change the way the pattern looks. A bow tie. Leave it to you to come up with that, Joel. So I'm just going to use an A-dot Vivus and Brown, and again connecting turns all the way down the hook shank. And you can see by leaving that little tag back there, you can move rather quickly through this. Clip on. I'm getting one for next week. I'll look like some sort of dancer, if you will. So on our hare's mask there is, and just on any animal, there's going to be layers to the hair. So right now I'm going to go ahead and just clip some and make sure we get it out. So you see back here, these guys are going to be like your guard hairs, and I can go ahead and pinch on those, and those are going to come out. Now we're going to put the rest of this back in our pile that we made earlier. And the cool thing with this pattern is, so we're going to have all those guard hairs. I don't care if they're even or uneven. I've said it a bunch of times, trout don't count, or can't count. They do count for fishing, unless you're after like whitefish or something. And I'll just go ahead and wrap these tailing fibers down, or our tail down. A little bit of excess. You can trim it, you can leave it. It's not going to... Exactly, Ryan. Next fly tying 101, how to tie a bow tie. Edward says proportions. So I with hare's ears, I like my proportions to be, I shoot for about like, you know, 66-33. Oh goodness. Yes, I probably would look like Howdy Bolo Tie. Howdy doody. Oh man. Joel, look at what you've started here. I'm going to eat all of the cookies at your shop next time I'm up. Okay. I have bunny fur up my nose, which I guess is kind of par for the course. But if any of you guys are in the Portland area, Joel does have an amazingly beautiful shop called Royal Treatment. And every Saturday there are homemade cookies, which have never once disappointed me. It's probably why my wife had to put me on a diet. She said it was really just because of Joel. Just joking. So I'm going to tie in some copper wire, and I started that wire up where the thorax would be, and I've brought it back. What are friends for? Exactly. So this is just that medium copper wire. You can, and again, if you guys wanted to add to this pattern or make it more wild, you know, I have really poor examples here, but you know, you can use a brown wire, you know, black rib, red, blue, green, I mean, just colors of the rainbow. So once I have my new smidge of dubbing, I'm going to pull out about 3 inches to 4 inches of thread. And I like to dub down my hair nice and small, so it's like, you know, a 1/16 of an inch. Everybody seems to refer to it as a noodle. I tend to ride on the side of very sparse flies. Some guys swear that they need to be really chubby. So right about there is where I'm going to call my 66%. And you can see as I rotate, let me see if I can, sometimes this works, oh, no. Whoa, wait a second. Did that just like auto do? When are you coming for cookies? That is a good question. It's been a discussion, Joel, for my wife and I lately. When are we going to Portland again? And so what I'm going to do is segment this body with this copper wire, and I'm wrapping it, I like to do it backwards. Just because I feel like it's against the way I originally had wrapped. Whoop. They're really good cookies. Cheech, I would suggest driving from SLC up there. Or the next time you're teaching minors how to sexually harass each other properly, we'll just have to go in there. So I'm going to take about a hook gap worth of my cinnamon turkey tail here. You can see I leave it on there, and I like to straighten it out. So for every feather is kind of like a zipper, especially with like wings and tails. That's how all those salmon fly guys get the really cool looking wings going, is they unzip the feathers. So like if we pulled this apart, what you have to do is you just gently brush it back together and it'll re-zip back in. And I want just a little bit of this meatier portion here. And this is going to become our wing case. Waiting for the comments. Thanks, Cheech. The show just got weird. It did get a little bit... We started talking about cookies and cookie monstering and bolos. I haven't heard that since like Fast Times at like Ridgemont High. So I'm going to take a little bit more of our hare's ear dubbing that we've created here from our hare's mask and create a nice little noodle. I don't know why, but the noodle thing just kind of throws me off. But it's pretty recognizable. So now here's the part where you get to say, how do I want this hare's ear to look? You know, you can go really sparse here, and or you can kind of continue to dub over the top and increase, you know, the overall thorax of this pattern. And once you feel there's enough, you can just wrap right forward and create a little spot for your thread head here. We'll just go ahead and pull this over. And I like to make sure that my thread's backed up against the dubbing ball right there. It's because we don't want a really big head on the fly. And we just trim it as tight as we can and get ready for a quick whip finish. And you know, you can change the size of the wing case, but this seems to make the best for me. My opinion, I think it looks like a caddis in my area, more specifically a juvenile October caddis, which are kind of creamy. Everybody thinks they're very orange, but they're only orange when they're adults. I like more of a creamy colored variation. So next up, we'll take our bodkin and we'll just that is awesome news. I'm very jealous of your new tent, as you know, and yeah, we'll have to schedule a visit here soon. Absolutely. So I'm just going to pick this guy out a little bit, and you can see we didn't put any legs or external, you know, rubber legs or fibers on here, but you can see it's starting to become a very buggy pattern. So kind of like we did with the soft hackle last time, we're just going to go ahead, and this is our water-based head cement, and you can see it actually disappearing into the fly. And I'm, you know, pretty close on the eye of that hook. I don't want a ton. But what that's going to do is that you can paint it over, right over that turkey, and it's going to help to secure that. It's going to glue into everything, and from there forward you're pretty much ready to go. And like I said, every color of the rainbow. I mean, like you could do this purple and pink in a hare's ear, and I bet you a steelhead would eat it. TBT was a good choice. Creamy. Cheech. So cool. Well, that's gonna finish out that guy, and next up we're gonna tie this woolly worm. This is totally one I should have done like so much more history on. I know it works. These are used tons of places. They tie them in like super bright colors for Pyramid Lake and for the Bigelow Hot and Cutthroat Trouts. But I just don't know a ton of history on this pattern, which typically I try to find out things of history and, you know, materials and stuff like that. David, that's a great question. So David asked, going back to our hare's ear here, would I put... That's not the one we tied. That one's ugly. So yeah, that's a great question. I haven't put it out there, just because we're not using UV resins and stuff like that. So if you look at like Mike Mercer, who's an amazing fly tyer, he kind of developed this series of nymphs that they're called epoxy back nymphs. So instead of using just like your head cement to stabilize, you could use a UV resin as well. And that's going to create this nice domed or bubble looked finish to it. I don't even honestly have a flashlight on my table right now, so I'll show it to you guys. I'll show you the difference next week though, I promise you that. Or, you know what, here, I can see it. Break. So this is kind of, it used to be a very, let's make sure this bottle works. Oh yeah. It used to be like a really advanced tactic because you were using 2-part epoxy, you had to have a spinner and all this stuff. So you can see I've just put this little bubble over the back of the fly, and now that wing case is inside of this bubble. For Mercer's epoxy back hare's ear, he actually uses runs a piece of flash over the top of it to spice it up a bit even further. But great question, and you can see now there is a cool little bubble sitting over the back. So it's a great way to mix up your pattern, make it a little bit wilder. Trampled by turtles. Oh, thanks, Paul. I'm not that hip. I'm like a soccer dad, so kind of lost me there for a second. It's all right though. I'm back now. We're good. Edward asks if there's any alternatives for the wing case. Absolutely. Yes, Nymphs for steelhead. That's a Trinity River thing. Absolutely, Joel. Are there any alternatives? Edward asks, are there any alternatives for the turkey on the wing case? Yeah, like a pheno skin or any of the plastic wing casing materials will work really well. One of my favorite new, whoops, should look at this and not the screen. I don't think I have any out here, unfortunately. One of my new favorite wing case materials actually is the mini fly flat braid that just came out. It comes in a ton of cool different colors, and that stuff is really cool because it actually has like a reflective section, and you know, so it looks really cool. Cheech likes turtles. Turtle cookies. How long does it take to cure it? Depending on your light, you know, the better lights cure it within 5 to 10 seconds. Some of the slower lights, it's about 15 to 20. Typically not longer than 15 if you have the right wavelength. So once again, sorry, we kind of got caught up with heckling a size 8 nymph hook, 6/0 black thread. We just did connecting turns down the body, and right now we are going to put in our tail of McFly foam in orange. And again, this stuff comes in a million different colors. It's some of the oddest material ever. I have like my suspicions on what it could be, but it's definitely a cool material. It actually makes great little like heads for sculpins and stuff. Remember to refresh. I'm just used to looking up and seeing you guys heckling. So I'm going to tie in a piece of wire. Again, this is just going to be our copper medium wire. Right on, Duck Dave. Very true, Clark. Thank you. I was going to catch up there in a second, buddy. I promise. And we're also going to add in some medium black chenille. To clean up as I go. And we're going to bring in a grizzly saddle feather. So what I like to do is I'll tie in my chenille first. And I cheat. I'm a cheater. And I'll explain to you what my cheat is here. I tie my saddles in next. A lot of guys will bring them in from the front and then work them back, and the wire is meant to secure them in. With all honesty, I'd probably rather just complex twist this, but you can search Cheech for that one. So what I do is I'm going to pull my wire out of the way, and I'm just going to bring this chenille forward first. And what I'm doing here, when I pull backwards, I'm stacking the chenille onto itself. If you ever get a fly with like a really loose chenille body and you're like, how do those guys get that to look super smooth? The trick is lots of tension and a little bit of a backwards pull. As you're working through, it'll look much more uniform. So it plays into like some of the patterns that we're going to be tying, like a brindle bug, stuff like that. And you can see I'm brushing it back as well. Time to refresh. So I'll put a few wraps on there and we'll trim that. I'm not too worried about this, but I'll half hitch anyways, just because I don't want to look like a buffoon. I like it. Thank you, Clark. Yeah, that's a great question. For me personally, I tie it in on the close side a lot of times because I'll counter rib, which is maybe just my weird thing that I do. I was really never trained to tie flies, truthfully. It was not something I mean, my uncle showed me some stuff, but that was like on a vacation, and then after that I was left with like a black and white book that came in this blue kit, and I think that same book's still in that same kit to this day. But I'm not sure, because I haven't looked at an intro to tying kit in quite some time. This was a bass fly. Whoopsie. Hackle plier, you've let me down. Naughty hackle plier. So I'm going to come up into the front here and just leave a little room. Just wanted a little base there, and I'll just come right over the top. So cool thing is with this technique, when you look at like fly bins and some of the most popular attractor dry flies, you're going to see, you know, stuff like a stimulator, stuff like that. And a lot of those flies are going to have a palmered hackle moving forward. So when we just wrap that hackle forward, you can notice it's pretty decently spaced. It's not, you know, absolutely beautiful, but that's the same technique you're going to use for those flies. I think his buns is too big. We're going to give him a buns trimming. There we go. Kind of shrink it down a bit. So yeah, a lot of times what I do is I'll just work through here and I'll just wiggle through, and what I'm trying to do is not capture any of the hackle fibers as well as I'm wiggling. And looks like I caught a few on that side. My counter rib idea, I don't know. I fish for sea run smolts a lot, so I'm like, how bomb proof can I make this, you know? And by sea run smolts I mean steelhead. Okay, so once I have my wire up front, we'll go ahead and we'll do the helicopter maneuver, and I'm going to go ahead and whip finish just by hand. And if anything got stuck in there in the mayhem of palmering that wire, we'll just get it out of there. Hit it with some of the nice water-based head cement. And I don't mind if it soaks into here. So a lot of times, I don't even mind if it soaks onto this front hackle. It doesn't bug me. It's just life. It's going to get there. So a few little offenders that got stuck in a rut here. But all in all, that would be a woolly worm. And change up the colorways, change everything about it, make it your own. See what fish like. Maybe this was a bass fly. They've kind of changed over the years, but I think it looks the bubble butt. There you go. John, that's a great question, but the wire is actually pinning the hackle down. So like if the trout don't, you know, if the trout bite it and their teeth get onto it, it doesn't rip the hackle, since it's a little bit more. Thanks, Cheech. We'll see you later, man. You know, so it's going to actually protect the hackle and hold it in at more spots. Yes, it is just McFly foam. Woolly worm, aka bubble butt. I like the bubble butt. So we're going to zoom out for this cat because he's big, nasty. Thanks, Evers. Appreciate it. So next up, this is just going to be a real basic bunny leech. And this is going to be our last fly of the night. I think we're going to find a secret word, and it's going to be something off of my desk. Let me think on this for like a few seconds here, guys. So the secret word tonight is one of my favorite feathers. It is Hungarian Partridge. You can see the spelling on it. Go to the Loon site as soon as we're done. Log in or sign up on that little Fly Tying 101 thing and enter to win a full-blown Loon kit. Again, the secret code word this week is Hungarian Partridge. So, okay, we're going to finish this guy up here, or get him going. We're going to use a size 6 streamer hook. And so the standard recipe calls for a 3/16 gold bead. That's a gold bead. Now, if you wanted to use this for steelhead fishing or other grumpy fish, another great thing to have on the tying table is a set of debarbing pliers, so you can debarb your hook. And I'm going to use, just as a replacement, same pattern, nothing's really changing. I'm going to use a hot pink bead instead. And this one's called a gritty bead. And the only thing that it does is it changes this bunny leech to an egg-sucking bunny leech, because the theory is that the fish will think it's eating an egg. Serve as an attractor, something like that, but definitely fun. Oh, gotta remember to refresh. I just need like an old car headlight switch, where you like stomp on the pedal, brights come on, and it refreshes for me. So your bunny strip's going to come out of the package, and it's going to be rather long. And for our tail, I'm going to take about 2 inches. There you go, Louise. I like it. Why do I use the water-based head cement? I just like it. You could use a thin UV resin, but it has good penetration and gets down into the threads, and it's also non-toxic. So I just don't like breathing in nail polish smelling things all day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a V in the back of this hide. I'm trying to do it the best I can on camera, but I'll show you the end result here. Kind of an awkward. Well, that didn't turn out like the best V ever, but it worked. So I'm going to take about 1/4 of an inch of this hide, and that's going to get applied to our hook. So you can see we have a nice long tail now. Now the next piece of rabbit that we use, now this is called a crosscut. So you can see its orientation on the hide, or on the skin, which is down here, is far different. Whereas this is cut with the hide, this goes against the grain so the hair stands out. The reasoning behind that is when we tie this guy in, you're going to want to tie it, if you're a right-handed tire, with the hair facing down. So you see how the hair is going down towards the vise? And right now you can go ahead and wrap your threads forward. And we're going to wrap this just like we did all of our other hackle. And you want to have a good amount of tension on it, so you can see that that hair, as it wraps, it falls backwards. Beginner flies for redfish and bass. Jordan, you're playing with fire. For bass, this would be a great pattern. Bass will eat this, absolutely. For redfish, probably some bait fish patterns, stuff like that. I know they do enjoy the occasional popper, stuff like that. So I mean, realistically, sky's kind of the limit. It's just check out, shoot, I'm trying to think of who does some good redfish fly tutorials on YouTube. So we're going to cut this guy off. I'm just trying to hold a lot of tension there. There we go. I'm just going to smash this down, and what's going to end up happening is it's going to go inside the bead mostly. Yeah, a lot of, you know, like largemouth bass, they'll eat the leech pattern. Apparently they'll eat the woolly worm. Just a ton of different, they like poppers a lot. If you watch some good popper videos on tying poppers, that would be beneficial. And redfish, they eat poppers too. So hopefully that would help out. Any benefit to adding lead wire? Great question, John. Yes, you could add lead wire, non-lead wire, really whatever you want. This is a tungsten bead, so it's going to aid in getting that down nice and fast. If you need to get more depth or you have a high water situation, like I do right now behind the house, you know, you may need a little extra lead to, or you know, weight to get that down. Gary, that's a great idea. Yeah, for some of your saltwater stuff, Carl, check out Nick over at 239 Flies. He has some great videos. He's also on YouTube as well. So my big secret flash trick, which isn't so secret, it's how I do my legs and everything, is I take my flash and I put it in half. So I have 3 strands of crystal flash, and I'll take one. You can go over or under, whatever. I like typically go over, and you're just going to catch it right there, and then kind of just wrap her in. A little tension, and this kind of has a bigger collar on it, which is okay. Fish is never going to notice that as this is swinging by, or you're stripping it. It's going to have a ton of movement, pulsation, stuff like that. So my last secret step that I do is I figure out the length that I want, and I just put my thumbs there. My thumb and my forefinger, and give it a solid cut. Frogs for bass, absolutely. Use a perch to catch a bass, right? So, anyways, I'm going to put a little bit of our head cement on here, and you can watch it disappear. And that's that, yeah. That's just going to be real basic little egg-sucking leech pattern. Zoom out. We'll pop up a bit. So, alrighty. So, that's going to conclude episode 2. Tune back in there if you guys forget what the secret password is. There you go, one last time. Gibby, you're absolutely right. It is a great fly in a ton of different colors. I fished that leech pattern in purples, blues. I think I showed you guys. I held up that bag earlier. I have no idea where I set that down right now. Oh my goodness. But yeah, you can see some of the other colors of rabbit that I use for leech patterns. Like I said, purples, blues. It all works out. It will all catch fish. You can do olives, blacks, browns, you know, to imitate leeches in small alpine lakes, stuff like that. Scale the fly down smaller or bigger, and you're going to have a lot of success. It's an ultra classic pattern. Okay, looks like Carl, Jeff has some info for you. Gibby, thank you much. I appreciate it. Yeah, so next week, I don't know. We're going back in the book. Kind of ticked off a lot of patterns here, but we still have some really good ones to go. Looks like there's a lot more trout stuff. Cool little bucktail streamers in the weeks to come. And toughest for me, dry flies. But that's okay. We're going to go through it, and we're going to do great and have a bunch of fun. Alright guys, well, I'm going to let you go. And if you guys are bored right now and you have Instagram and you're a big Instagramming guy, I think, I don't know if it's on Instagram or Facebook, that Cheech is actually tying one of his patterns. 17 degrees and a half inch of ice. John, I agree. That sounds like a good fly tying day. New guy question. Is there a reason you trimmed all the strands of flash but one? That would be because I missed it. Good eye. It was on the opposite side from me, and it was probably hiding behind the tail. Great eye, Fuzzy. Hot in Miami today and tomorrow. Yep, I'll have my bow tie on, nice and tight. You can send that bag. So, anyways, guys, hey, thank you again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to log in on the Loon website, register for your, I don't know, I think they're, I mean, if it's like in my hand right now, like there's like this much, probably more, stuff being given away each week. So I greatly appreciate it. And again, have a great week. Hopefully the water where you live is fishable, because it's not here. And hopefully the weather cooperates. So have a great night, guys. Take care.